out there in the vinyl community. Welcome back to Synner's Den. Today we're going to talk about the video viral thing that everybody's talking about. Top 10 records that you just can always put on, listen to whatever. And these are my top 10 records that I can listen to whenever. I don't have to think about it. I love every single track on them. I've had some of them for years. Some of them I've just gotten some new repressing, anniversary pressings. So let's get into it. First up, we have Voice of the Beehive. I love this album. This are sisters, Tracy and Melissa, originally from Encino, California. Moved to London and found the two guys and put their band together, Voice of the Beehive. This is their debut album, Let It Be, on yellow anniversary, 35-year anniversary vinyl, because it came out originally in 1988. I was a teenager when this album came out, or early teens. Loved this album. Used to listen to this all the time with some of my girlfriends like Julia Frank. This has got every song is a banger. I love them all, but Beat of Love, Don't Call Me Baby, The Man on the Moon, What You Have Is Enough, I Walk the Earth is a beautiful song. There's a Barbarian in the Back of My Car is super fun. They had a hit with the song I Say Nothing. They should have had a huge hit with the song Just a City. This is such a great album. This is kind of your 80s, 120 minutes, late 80s, early 90s, 120 minutes type alternative band. Really great, good rockin' guitars, both female vocals back and forth. Really awesome stuff. Here's another band I absolutely loved growing up, and this is the Sugar Cubes with Bjork. Now, Bjork's solo stuff, of course, is amazing, but I really love the Sugar Cubes. This is an original press on silver vinyl, the only of the three Sugar Cubes album that came out on colored vinyl. The first album came out on multiple colored covers, and then the third album, Hit, barely came out. So this one is so great. This is my favorite of the three Sugar Cubes albums. How super cute is Bjork in here with a shaved head? Don't you love that? There's the band. They were from Iceland, and this is the most successful band from Iceland ever. They have in here, this is another 120 minutes type alternative rock band. They've got one of the guys on there is on horns. A lot of people get annoyed with Enor because he also sings with Bjork, and they play kind of a back and forth kind of things where he counteracts some of her lyrics. This has got great songs on here. Like Tidal Wave, Regina, Nail, Pump, Eat the Menu is great, B, Water is my favorite song. Think of me underneath the water. So great. This has got one of my favorite quotes from Enor on here. I really don't like lobster. You just have to know him and how weird this band was to really understand what I'm talking about. But this is the greatest. Here Today, Tomorrow, Next Week. The second album from the Sugar Cubes, and definitely my favorite Sugar Cubes album. Next to Fugazi albums, I think this is the greatest thing Dischord Records ever put out. This is the band called 3. This is the album Dark Days Coming, and this has got 3 members of the band Grey Matter, and Jeff Nelson, from the drummer from Minor Threat, doing a more mellow kind of emo project. Came out right after they did the Egg Hunt 7-inch with Ian MacKaye, and this just reminds me of the summer and skateboarding in the late 80s, early 90s. This, I think, came out in 88. And this is just so fantastic. This has got songs like Empathy, Swan Street, Buy me a river, buy me a river, just a river of my own. Domino days, pious and blind, dark days coming, don't walk away. This is so good. Just 10 songs and not a bad track on here. I love, love, love this one. Here's another album I love every single song on here, and this is sad. This band went nowhere. They could have been so big. This is Flesh for Lulu. Long live the new flesh. I know, the name, I know. It probably didn't help. But these guys are a great, great rock band from Brixton, England, and they were around 1982 to 92. On this album, especially, I got tuned into them because of a song called "I Go Crazy," which was on the soundtrack to some kind of wonderful 80s movie. So "I Go Crazy" is the title, the first song off of here. This is fantastic. Postcards from Paradise is another great one. Sooner or Later, Lucky Day is another great song. Sleeping Dogs Lie is a great one. Crash. I put that song on so many mixtapes for people. We crashed together. Whoa. So awesome. Nick Marsh is the singer, harmonica player, and guitar player, writer. This guy right here. He is amazing. This whole album is, I love it to death. You could probably find this for, I've seen it on Discogs for $2. But I'm telling you, this is a band that could have. This is so great. Let's keep it going with the girl I steal my name from. She's an icon. Miss Cyndi Lauper. I took her first name and I threw an S on there instead of a C. This is her first debut album. She's so unusual. Japanese picture disc pressing. Ooh. Isn't that pretty? You got her high heels in the back there. Is that Monet? Looks like Monet painting. And she's so unusual, I don't have to describe how huge of an album this is and how big of an influence Cyndi Lauper is on me. There she is. What? You got, of course, all the hits on here. Money Changes Everything was a cover originally by The Brains, which is, I also have that album I could show in another video. Girls Just Want to Have Fun, When You Were Mine, Time After Time, She Bop, All Through the Night. My personal favorite, Witness, which is kind of like a really upbeat ska jam. Sounds a little more like her old band, Blue Angel. And I'll Kiss You, He's So Unusual, yeah. This album is a banger. I don't have to think when I put this album on. I'm just dancing all the way through it. And I had to get a really cool pressing of this because I love her. I got everything Cyndi Lauper I can on vinyl. Some only came out on CD, which is unfortunate. Hopefully they all get a vinyl re-release at some point. I think you can see that I really love 80s 120-minute type girl groups, and let's keep going with another one of my all-time favorite albums from that time, The Sundays. Oh my god, Harriet Wheeler, her voice is just so soothing, so amazing. They technically have 3 albums out, but really just about 2. This is their debut album, Reading, Writing, and Arithmetic. And what? Let's keep the whole picture disc thing going. Looky-loo. That's pretty. Right there. It looks like the sandstones on the cover of the album there. You got there. And the Sundays, mostly acoustic, really beautiful, beautiful. Maybe the birth of some shoegaze type music. You got Skin and Bones. You got the hit that the video of Here's Where the Story Ends. I Can't Be Sure. I Won. Hideous Towns. You're Not the Only One. A Certain Someone. My Finest Hour I've Ever Known. My Finest Hour. Joy. This is so, so incredible. The Sundays came out with a second album a year or two after this called God, or God Made Me is the song that they do on it. And then huge 5-year hiatus until they come back with a big hit album, Summertime. But the darkness in the lyrics, some of the mystery and haunting kind of sound of the guitar playing that are on these first two albums, and especially this first debut album, just cannot be topped. This is totally takes me back to the 80s and to high school, and God, I loved the Sundays. And last but not least of my favorite girls from the early 90s, this was a local girl from Boston and formerly of the Blake Babies. This is Juliana Hatfield and her debut album, Hey Babe. This one is my favorite Juliana Hatfield album. It's raw, it's a little bit naked. She's got a song on here called Ugly, which is a stripped down acoustic song that's just so incredible. She doesn't even play that live anymore. I don't know why, because it's one of her greatest songs she's ever written. Some say that she was going through a little bit of a crush on Evan Dando of the Lemonheads. They were really good friends, and he even plays on some of the tracks on here, like the first track, Everybody Loves Me But You, Lost and Staved, I See You, The Lights. He plays on The Lights. That's a great song. That always reminds me of going to a show in Boston and then driving the hour and a half back to Western Mass. And as you leave Boston, all these lights are on the highway until you get a little bit out of Boston, and then you're into the dark of 91 and the Mass Pike and what have you. And then Forever Baby, Ugly, that song I was telling you about, is such a heartbreaking great song. No Outlet, Quit, Get Off Your Knees has a guest appearance by Mike Watt on bass, and you can tell right away when you hear his bass thumping come in. Mike Watt from Minutemen on here, and Fire Hose. This is a banger, and I love this. This is the repress I had to get on purple vinyl. Also came out on a green vinyl. And this was Mammoth Records. I almost thought it was Tang, but this is Mammoth Records. And when this album came out, I think in 91, I listened to this that whole summer, that whole year. I was playing this in my car, driving around. It's got such a mood to it. It's like that kind of just on the cusp of Nirvana and grunge breaking out. And just so dark, so heavy. Her distortion on her guitar. She never sounded this raw again with her Juliana Hatfield 3. It just never came around. This is the best thing she's ever done. To this day, I'll stand by it. Juliana Hatfield. Next up, say you're a guy named Tony James. Your lead singer, Billy Idol, goes solo, and your band Generation X breaks up in 1982. What do? You go crazy, and you start Zig Zig Sputnik, and their debut album, Flaunt It. These guys are the best. Look at these guys right here. This is one of my favorite fun punk 80s new wave albums of all time. I got into this super late, but when I did, it's because of Ferris Bueller's Day Off. The song Love Missile F11 is in that movie. Kind of not on the soundtrack, but if you listen, it's in his bedroom when he's sitting in there. This is so freaking awesome. There's so many great songs on here. 21st Century Boy, Atari Baby, Sex Bomb Boogie, Blast Off, Blast Off, Rocket Miss USA. And then Massive Retaliation, Teenage Thunder, She's My Man. It's not sure whether they got money for this or not, but they sounds like they sold advertising in the songs. They completely talk about selling out. There's an ad for Coca-Cola in here. There's an ad for L'Oreal hair products. It is so funny, and it so jams, and the sampling going on in here way ahead of its time for 82. And this is just so fantastic. Their live shows must have been crazy. Tony James has got the biggest, craziest mohawk in here. Look at that. That's him right there. He is nuts. This is such a fun album. Zig Zig Sputnik, flaunt it. Here's another sad breakup story. Your singer, Ian MacKaye, takes off and forms a band called Fugazi and goes on to be a big legend. Your band Minor Threat that created Straight Edge breaks up, and you're the guitar player Brian Baker. What do? You spend some time with a band called Meat Men, which is another story, and then you grow your hair long, dye it blonde, and start drinking beer and join Junkyard just in time for their debut album, Junkyard. This is some of LA sleaze glam at its best. And Brian Baker plays guitar, formerly of Minor Threat. There he is, and there's his beer. And these guys are fantastic. This album is a anniversary repress on Geffen Records. Look at that pretty color. We love that. And Junkyard has got some, this is an album I love. Dirty sleaze, glam metal. Right off the bat, side one starts off with blues. Drinking my blues again. That riff is just fantastic. Then you go into Hot Rod, and then their hit single, Simple Man. Lord, I'm a simple man. Ain't too much I need. I'm just asking for all of your love. Give me what you can and set me free. That, you know what I'm talking about. It's a hit. Just remember it. And then Shot in the Dark, Hollywood finishes off that side. Life Sentence, Long Way Home, Can't Hold Back, Texas, and Hands Off. This is a banger album from start to finish. I'm so glad I got the repress of this, because original pressings are difficult to find, because this is around the time where cassettes and CDs were the biggest thing in the world. So this is a great grab to have. And I believe this is limited press to only 1,500. Whoa, but I love this band so much that I kept a good eye out. I've got a couple more of theirs on vinyl. They've recently regrouped and rejoined and are touring Junkyard, but Brian Baker is now a permanent member of Bad Religion. So the band lineup's a little different, but the lead singer's exactly the same. This is just a blast. How do you finish off a top 10 list of albums? I can listen to every single track and every single song and love and just paint and sit and draw in my room and do what I do. You go to maybe the most influential, heaviest hardcore record ever. Leeway, Born to Expire. This is crushing. This is the only way to describe Leeway. Crushing. This is their debut album, Born to Expire. I got a repress on clear. Woo. And this is super, super great. This starts off with Rise and Fall. It tricks you with this heavy, slow creep that comes in, drives you crazy. If you're in a mosh pit, you're going to get hurt. There's no way around it. Then it falls right into Mark of the Squealer. And then we get into Be Loud on the Outside. Has a riff that I still to this day can't get the timing right. Incredible. Defy You, Enforcer, Tools for War, Born to Expire, Marathon, Self Defense, Catholic High School Girls, and Unexpected. This is incredible. This is when New York hardcore in the early 90s was the tops, and Leeway were the first to start mixing a little bit of hip-hop feel that was going around New York with their lead singer. And the band was just thrash heavy, crossover metal, super sick, super killer. Every riff, every mosh riff, every breakdown. This was the pit to be in. Their second album that came out was just as heavy as Born to Expire, and that was a real great one. And then they kind of, band members flipped a little bit, things got a little wavy, New York hardcore started to change into emo-ish stuff, but man, this album, I don't know how many people count this as one of the greatest New York hardcore albums of all time. This is Leeway's Born to Expire. Boom. Another album I can listen to front to back and hang out in my room and paint, which is what I normally do when I listen to my top 10 go-to albums. There they are. I hope you had fun watching this video. So, thanks everybody. Thanks Final Community. Bye-bye.